Have you ever felt that crushing weight on your shoulders? And I'm not talking about some big dramatic crisis. I'm talking about the weight of just ordinary life. That's what we're diving into today. So let's start with the word gargantuan. You probably think of giant monsters or massive skyscrapers. But what if the most gargantuan thing in your life is something you can't even see? We're going to explore how this one word perfectly captures that load we all carry, a load built from 1,000 tiny things.
Okay, so I want you to really think about this for a second. What's one thing in your life, or maybe it's a bunch of things, that started out totally manageable, but is now snowballed into something that just feels, well, gargantuan?
Yeah, that feeling, that has a name. We're going to call it the tipping point. So let's break down exactly how this happens, how a pile of little everyday tasks slowly and quietly turns into this absolutely massive weight. It usually kicks off with something we choose, something we tell ourselves, yeah, I can handle this. Like working 2 jobs. It's a lot, for sure, but it feels possible. And that's where the first brick is laid. All right, so on top of that, you start stacking the real life stuff, the things that just happen. Your house needs repairs, right? And home maintenance isn't a one and done deal. It's this slow, constant drip draining your time, your energy, your money. The weight gets just a little bit heavier. And then, oh boy, then you've got the stuff that just never ends. The laundry, the cleaning, the dishes. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. These aren't projects you can finish and cross off a list. They're a loop. The moment you're done, the timer resets. Another thin layer gets added to the pile.
And then there's a whole other kind of weight, isn't there? The really personal, emotional stuff. Taking care of your parents is an act of love, no question. But it's also a huge responsibility. And it can feel even heavier when you're trying to bridge something like a language gap.
And this is the kicker, right? The real irony. Even the stuff you're supposed to do for yourself to relieve the stress, it just becomes another chore. That pressure to go to the gym, to stay healthy, just gets tossed onto this enormous to-do list. And eventually, that pile gets so unbelievably high that just surviving feels like a full-time job. It's not about the big goals anymore. It's about the mental space it takes to just get through the day. When Don't Get Sick This Winter is an active project you have to manage, you know that weight has become truly gargantuan.
Okay, so we've built this giant pile of life. But the real question isn't what's weighing us down, it's why it feels so impossibly heavy. And that brings us to the core idea here, the weight of the everyday, and this crazy paradox of what's really got us pinned.
It all boils down to this one simple, incredibly powerful idea. Ordinary things are keeping me down. Think about that. It's not a disaster. It's not a catastrophe. It's the slow, steady, relentless pressure of the mundane. And the wildest part is that for so many of us, the ordinary is the overwhelming. And, maybe that's because we've got it all wrong in our heads. We grow up with stories about the big, epic quest, slaying the dragon, facing the one clear villain. But real life? It's not a dragon. It's 1,000 tiny chores. It's constant maintenance. It's the daily grind. So what happens? Well, you get this war going on inside your head. You still have goals. You dream about having just one full-time job or finally having time to read a book. But you feel stuck, buried under all that stuff. And it leads to this quiet resignation, this little sigh you give yourself. Well, I guess this is just being an adult. Man, feeling trapped like that, it can feel like game over. But hold on. What if it's not? What if we've been looking at this all wrong? Let's try to flip this whole thing on its head and see how maybe life just sneaks up on you. Okay, just let this quote sink in for a minute. We're all waiting for the fireworks, for the big, loud, defining moment to show up and announce itself. But what if the biggest, most important parts of our lives don't work like that? What if they just grow? I love this idea. It's like you're building a house, but you don't have the blueprints. Every single day, you're laying another brick. A chore, a job, an errand, an act of kindness. You're so focused on each individual brick, you don't even realize what you're building. Then one day you look around and you realize you're already home. And this, right here, is where it all clicks. All those ordinary things, that whole pile we built, the jobs, the chores, taking care of people, What if they aren't just weight? What if they're also building blocks? That constant maintenance isn't just a burden, it's how you build responsibility. That daily grind isn't just tiring, it's the foundation of a life filled with purpose.
So let's circle all the way back, that gargantuan weight of your ordinary life.
Yeah, it's heavy, no doubt about it.
But what if it's not just a burden? What if it's the very shape and structure of the meaningful life you've been building all along? What big moment are you standing inside right now without even knowing it?